What is up, maniacs? Welcome back to Sound and Pound. It is February 20th, Tuesday, 2024. I said that in a weird order, but it's all right. That's how every Tuesday is. We are your hosts, Drake Riggs and Alex Behunin here from MMAmania.com, here to bring you all the wacky wildness and goodness and craziness, badness, everything you can think of in the world of mixed martial arts, sounding and pounding it out, if you will. But yeah, we have a whole bunch to talk about this week, not just from what happened last week, which was obviously UFC 298, big deal. A lot of things happened there, pretty good event. But this week, Alex, is absolutely jam-packed. 3-event weekend, a lot going on all over the world in terms of the locations, which is actually really fun. So yeah, there's a lot to get into, man. So right away, I guess this will bleed into the maniacal moment of the week in UFC 298 recapping. But just starting off with how are you doing, my friend, and how was it being there and your travel adventures? Tell us about Anaheim a little bit.
Yeah, I'm good. It's on a rainy Las Vegas day. I gotta tell you, I did not miss California. Not at all. not one bit. Only thing I missed about it was the taco trucks and the Mexican food. Everything else, fucking blowed. California traffic. People are just weird. They think they're just yeah. So. Good thing is it was in Anaheim, which is a little bit better than Los Angeles, but it's still in the same vicinity in a way. Yeah, I mean, California blows, and I'm glad I did my 30 years there and left. So,
all right.
But the event, man. But I mean, I gotta tell you, the California fans were missing the UFC because. Press conference, the weigh-ins, the fight night, it was fucking loud. Yeah. They were all excited to be there, and it just kind of still hammers the point that MMA is a spectator sport, right? And it needs to be spectated by live fans, and it really gives it just does. I don't know what more I need to say about it, man. It's just crazy. So how are you?
Good, man. Good. It was definitely a good event watching from home. Less rain here, all that good stuff. Yeah, been wildly busy since last Tuesday when we were doing the show. But yeah, like you said, the press conference was one that stood out to me. Fans were real rowdy and having fun with that, and sounded like it for the rest of the events and things going on too. But all right, let's just get right into it then, Alex. I mean, maniacal moment of the week, I think, is a pretty just clear one here. I mean, I'm just, you know what? I'm gonna let you just do your thing because you're fucking just gonna throw it at me.
Drake.
Take it.
I'm not always right, but when I am, I'm gonna let you fucking know about it. And I knew Ilia Topuria was going to be champion. I knew that he was going to beat Volkanovski. I knew he was going to knock Volkanovski out in the second round. I called it the night before to Fabiano, to Diego, to Carlos. In the fighter, I have fucking witnesses. I have witnesses on my Tapology. I have witnesses on whatever podcast I fucking did that week. I just didn't think Volkanovski could beat Ilia Topuria in any aspect. I thought the only way he could do is just make it kind of outpoint him and kind of make it like that. But he wasn't going to outbox Topuria and he wasn't going to outgrapple him. And he knocked Volkanovski out in the second round. And he's the new champion. And man, I believe a international superstar was born Saturday night. The guy got it all, man. He's got the charisma. He looks good. He fights well. Speaks 4 different languages. Speaks English. Has the Spanish. I mean, he's got it all, man. And if he keeps his head on right, keeps winning, I mean, the sky is. I don't know if the sky's the limit for this dude.
The space will be the limit. Infinity and beyond. But real quick, you guys, before I interject here, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. Follow us on MMAmania.com, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all the good stuff. And yeah, if you want to get in questions, comments, concerns, do that. We will address kind of the ones off topic at the end of the show. But if you throw something in here, we'll try and get to it as well during what we're talking about. But you said something interesting there, Alex, about nothing Volkanovski could do. I gotta ask you, did you think though that like I thought Volkanovski was looking great and won the first round and he was looking real sharp, just kind of got overwhelmed there in the second round as Ilia adjusted, and maybe decided to have a moment of disrespect or lacking respect for what would come back at him in that flurry that finished him off. But I don't think that Volkanovski was showing signs of getting like
No.
he wasn't wasn't in there, obviously.
No, not at all. I mean, he won the first round on all three judges' scorecards. I thought it was a 50-50 round. Could have given it to either or. But yeah, no, I mean, he looked great. And I don't think like my analysis, like I don't think Topuria was ever gonna outclass him in a way. I just thought it was just he was gonna beat Volkanovski. He was gonna knock Volkanovski out. Whenever it happened, it was gonna happen. And yeah, man. What'd you think? I mean, obviously you picked Volkanovski last week. What'd you think of Topuria's performance?
No, I mean he looked obviously very great, and even like what I was saying was I think it would go very dominantly in either direction or end up being a fight of the year contender. I think it was kind of on its way to getting there. It wasn't like insane in terms of chaotic, but kind of one of those beautiful tactical fights is what it was kind of shaping to be, I thought. So I was like, all right, I'll take some of the credit for, predicting that part of it. But then Topuria, I think, man, just didn't get overwhelmed by the moment very clearly. That was a big thing mentality wise, because from all his performances, we know what he's capable of physically. It was just a matter of, will this be big too much for him? The pressure get to him? Nah, did not. It did not. So that was kind of maybe the biggest takeaway there, because he did integrate a little bit more kicks in the first round and stuff than we're used to seeing. Nothing up high or too crazy like that I was kind of saying would be smart to go for because of what has happened to Volkanovski in the past, not just in the Makhachev fight. But yeah, he looked great, man. Obviously killer stud, gonna be very tough to beat. I mean, it's weird. I feel like after just the first win, it's hard to be fully like, man, all right, this guy's gonna be, it's like with featherweight, this was the thing that people were mentioning was, except for Connor, right? All the other champs they hold the belt for a while. They get a good amount of defenses in there. Not sure. I mean, I can totally see it, but it feels like way too soon to say that. Like, we'll see if they have the rematch next or whatever, which Volkanovski definitely deserves. But then there's this thought about too quick and going to put him into a max spot. Like, there's a lot of issues there potentially long term for Volkanovski if, again, of course, he loses. But I would love to see a rematch, especially with how that was going. Not sure it would be the same because I don't know how do you feel about Volkanovski's chin? Like, right, that's been a comment. Oh, it's crumbling now. I'm still not sure I want to say that yet, because you look at, he got caught with a fucking head kick at lightweight, and then he gets cracked by probably the hardest. Well, him and Josh Emmett, probably the hardest punchers at featherweight, but one of the most dangerous guys in Topuria. I think we should pump the brakes on saying his chin's cracked, considering who had just finished him. Like, the age isn't going to help in these things, but I don't think we can say that yet.
Plus, Islam didn't crack him in his chin; he hit him on top of the head. So like, yeah, no. And I mean, the big thing is when Ilia puts you against the fence, your back's on the fence. You better get the fuck off that fence, or he's going to make you pay. Does it time and time again. Most of his finishes are on the fence, and fucking Volk play with fire. Yeah, I know. I don't think I just think, man, he met his match, obviously, and he is cursed by the 35-year-old curse. Like it's just, I I don't think his chin's cracked. I don't think he's washed. I don't think he's taken a step back. I think he still beats basically every featherweight on the planet except for Ilia Topuria. Like it's just Ili's that guy, man. There comes a time where someone's just better than you, right? And I think Ilia is that guy. And yeah, like I said, I don't think I don't think the rematch is going to go much different. I just think Volk's time's up. And that's nothing to be like scoffed at, man. Like he's an argument to be. He's the featherweight GOAT, right? Like it's between him and Aldo. That's and you can make arguments for both. You can dissect both of them. Whatever. I don't really care who you pick, but it's between both of them.
I think to kind of cap it on that is I'm gonna use the football comparison here, Alex, which I think I've told you before. I always bring this up in terms of GOAT talks, right? I fucking I've had to admit it at this point. I hate to, but Brady's the GOAT, greatest of all time. You can't. He's got all these achievements, but he's not the most talented. I think that's pretty clear. In this case, Aldo's the GOAT. That's he still has all the stuff, the time, longevity, all that. And you could still say he's most talented ever in terms of that GOAT, but Volkanovski, arguably probably that guy, especially in terms of well-roundedness and all. But yeah, they're obviously two of the best ever, all that stuff. But yeah, very impressive stuff from Ilia. I mean, he's got the potential to get there. He's younger than both of them when they won the titles. Well, maybe not Aldo, but same. He's still very young, so there's a lot of potential that he can where things can go from there. But Jin chiming in says, I'm not as smart as Ghost or Dan, but I thought Volk was being weird defensively, like he kept jabbing and pulling, while Topuria had very good ring cutting footwork to make Volk rush. Thoughts? I think that's maybe more of a testament to, Topuria getting a gauge on what Volkanovski was doing more than anything. And like Alex said, that guy gets your back against the cage. It's just like, hellfire, danger zone. You don't want to be there. Mateus is here. Good to see you. Says tough loss for Volk, but the UFC Countdown episode showed a fighter going through some challenges in his head. Oh, speaking of Volkanovski, interesting. I didn't watch the countdown, but obviously Volk was talking a lot last time about, the mental stuff. He seemed pretty sharp to me from everything I saw. I didn't watch countdown, like I said, but and again, in the fight, I don't think he looked bad either. So
who would you have Ilia fight next? Like, is it the immediate rematch? Do you do the winner of this weekend? Do you do Max Holloway if he beats Gaethje? Do you do Mofsar? Like, that's the cool thing about when a new champion is found. It opens up to the division.
So, man, it's tough for me. It's a two dog race, right? I think, like I said, Volkanovski has definitely earned the right to get an immediate rematch if anybody is going to. I know people like to argue depending on how they're finished or how the losses come and whatnot, but the guy had 5 title defenses. I mean, come on, look at what he was doing, who he beat, all that. But I'm also super intrigued by Mofsar. That's my other guy that I want to see. And I think he's earned it, 19-0 now? He's almost at 20. Has been looking great. I think he's the real deal too. I think stylistically, that's a super compelling fight. Not so sure, how they feel about it in terms of UFC making it. I think with Ilia, he's in a great spot right now where just the intrigue about him won't matter so much on the opponent, but of course the biggest fight would be the rematch. So it's kind of depends mostly on, I don't know, if you're saying that I'm going to make one, I might just coin flip it, but I'm really intrigued by the Mofsar one. I think that if you were to do Volkanovski in the meanwhile, Mofsar is probably not going to lose if he fights again, but I don't know. I'm 50-50 coin flip between those guys for me. I know that Mofsar is probably not likely, unfortunately, but I like that matchup a whole lot. So we'll see. What do you think?
It's tough. Mofsar is my guy, and they've been matched up twice before, Mofsar and Ilia. They're actually supposed to fight in Anaheim a couple years ago.
Right. Yeah.
But I it's hard to sell Mosar versus Ilia when Mosar has no finishes in the UFC. Like that's
But I mean, just undefeated versus undefeated, though.
It is like you could definitely sell that, but like I think there's too many people ahead of Mosar to even do that. Like the undefeated. Um, it depends. If they go to Spain, like if they really do go to Spain, and that's where Ilia's first title offense, I think the biggest fight they do is Volkanovski. But I think the second biggest fight, and I mean it might even sell more because I think it's Yair Rodriguez if he
Right.
gets through Brian Ortega. It's tough because Yair just got ran through by Volkanovski,
Right.
but there's heat between the two of them, and I mean Spain versus Mexico. It's and just that stylistic matchup is just like,
and they don't like each other either. If you've been paying attention, everybody.
1,000%. So like, I think that's the way you go. But like I said, but I mean the undefeated thing with Mosar and that stylist, like Mosar's wrestling is a lot can give challenges to Ilia. I just don't know if the UFC, other than he's undefeated, like what can you sell about that fight?
Right.
That's the thing. Like I'm thinking promoter wise, not
right.
fight.
Yeah, no, I hear you there for sure. I think this led my brain to an interesting place. Mateus here chiming and saying Holloway versus Ilia would have been a banger, but the BMF belt awaits. So I think this is what then you could do is, let's say Holloway loses, and then you do the immediate rematch between Volkanovski and Topuria. Holloway comes back down, fights Movsar. That might be perfect case for either of those guys. If Movsar gets a win over Holloway, obviously anybody, they get it right there. I think roadmap wise, that would be best case to kind of sort out these guys. Because if Holloway wins, I really don't see why he should come back down to featherweight. Like he obviously has the choice now, but if he wins, like, man, that opens up a whole new world for him,
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, a Max versus Ilia fight is very intriguing. Like it's
right.
It's that one's fun because, man,
it just comes down to what he would want to do, right? Because Holloway would be able to really pick whatever he wants if he beats Gaethje.
yeah. And if there's one person to crack Holloway's chin, it could be Ilia.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean that's such an insane matchup too. So I hope we see that at some point, regardless. But just not sure how soon. But all right. Well, I think that is good for the maniacal moment. Of course, we'll continue to touch on things you guys get in questions, like I said. But in terms of the underrated moment, Alex, there were still plenty to choose from this card. So let's touch on some things. What would you say is your underrated moment from the past weekend?
Yeah, man, there's so, I mean, you can literally pick something from every single fight. I guess I'll do kind of two. I'll do Paulo Costa is still that guy. He's still,
man, you took mine. I didn't think you were gonna shout him.
He's
okay.
still fun as fuck to watch. He's still, man, if you get him to that octagon, he's going to fight and he's going to make it fun. And I think his performance on Saturday, obviously he lost, but I think, all these people were like,
I think that might have been the best version of him we've ever seen, even though he lost. Like, that's a credit to Whitaker, but he looked like a new guy. I don't think he's that guy anymore. He's a different guy. He looked great, dude.
1,000%. And, it just goes back to everybody was like, well, just cut him. Cut him, bro. Like,
shut up.
You think the UFC wants that guy to go over to PFL or Bellator? Fuck no, dude. He is must-watch television in and outside of the cage. Like, he's so fun. So I'll let you gush on him a little bit more. Other guy, man, Fluffy Hernandez.
Yeah.
Boy, man,
that was a star maker. Yeah.
God damn. That guy. If you don't, and it's crazy. Like you looking back at that Kevin Holland fight. Man, if Kevin Holland didn't finish him with that body punch, who knows? I think Puffy would have taken him for a ride. and he has a really good record in the UFC. Has only lost to Kevin Holland and randomly fucking Marcus Perez. Man, he's fucking good, and he's going to give a lot of middleweights a lot of problems. And I really hope. I mean, the only thing, and I talked to him about this on Saturday, is the injuries. Man, he fights once a year, so he does this. He beats somebody up,
has an issue.
Everyone forgets about him. A fight gets announced. Oh my god, yeah, Fluffy's back.
Yeah,
does it again. He's gone. Oh my god, Fluffy's back. Oh my, you know what I'm saying? So like, if he stays healthy and continues to fight, dude, like, I really hope he gets a very big top tier matchup because man,
he's earned it at this point.
Yeah, he's really good. And we'll give a lot of guys problems. Other one, Danny Barlow breaks his arm. He shared
crazy.
Yeah, in the opening minutes of the first round, breaks his arm, fights 15 minutes, and then still knocks out Josh Quinlan.
Badass.
I mean, this sport is just fucking stupid.
Rich Franklin all over again.
what the fuck is this sport? And then our guy Oban Elliott, friend of the show, picks up
crazy
debut, and so those are just some of mine.
Definitely some good choices there. No mentions of old Merab yet. So I'm going to throw him out there and touch on him here in a moment. But first, I'm going to throw this to Rio, who says underrated moment was Costa versus Whitaker. He agrees that should have been fight of the night. Instead of the sloppy brawl in Dern versus Lemos, Costa looked different and gave Whitaker some problems. So I thoroughly enjoyed Lemos versus Dern as well. I thought that was a great fight. And it seems between people's choices, it was between Whitaker and Costa, and this is the fight of the night. What did you think, Alex? Did they get it right? I'm not mad at either winning, but
I think Costa versus Whitaker is clearly the fight of the night.
Yeah, more competitive, maybe more questioning of who won, I guess you could say, even though there was a 30-27 in there, which is fucking kind of insane for the first round. But judges, right?
Judges.
But so I'll give some shouts to Merab though, because again, I think that this guy has proven that he got the best cardio of all time, the best gas tank of all time. Demetrius Johnson, Clay Guida, Merab, take your pick. Never seen those guys breathing heavy at the end of a fight. It is just kind of insane, the weaponized cardio that he has, and especially to do that to Henry Cejudo. Don't care what version of him. Henry still looked pretty good, especially in the first round. Hurt him, which gave me concerns. Like, I think Merab is the second best bantamweight on the planet, behind Mr. Patchy Mix. But he's the best in the UFC. I don't even think it's much of a question anymore. But with that said, the fact that he's getting cracked in these ways, that worries me against like a guy like Sean, if he doesn't get him to the ground or avoid those shots, right? So he should be favored. He's gonna be the champ if he can avoid it. He's got to defensively kind of close up those holes, because he's got cracked by these guys, as we've seen in the past couple fights. But amazing. I mean, does it happen, Alex? Does he get his title shot? Dana seemed more sure this time.
Yeah, I 1000%. The only other guy standing his way is Corey Sandhagen, but I think Merab gets. I mean, dude, Jose Aldo, Peter Yan, Henry Cejudo, like it's that nuts. That 3-fight run is just like
all clear victories too. No controversy.
I mean, yeah, not even competitive fights. Like that's like that's what's so impressive about it. Like, man, it's Merab versus Sean. I think there's enough. I think there's enough out there. Merab taking Sean's jacket. Merab, all this footage of you could
Sterling Link.
Yeah, exactly. You can like kind of sell that story as well. I think there's enough there to get interest in it. And dude, I mean, the one of the most shocking things is like how over Merab was, and I think a lot of it was just people not liking Henry for whatever reason. But
the Coach Eric thing, maybe.
could be. But dude, I mean, Rob was over.
I mean, the Mexican flag thing was genius. That was so unexpectedly genius, I thought.
Fucking yeah, just so smart. You know, he goes from like, you know, he's a very humble, funny guy, and you know, he's always like to make fun of himself. So him like really getting into it and like doing it on social media and even in person, you know, like really poking fun at himself, like it's a genius marketing.
Yes, 100%. And Synchro with a great question saying, why does Rob do very questionable things during fight? We like put himself in danger by climbing a tarp. He's a wacky guy. He likes to do crazy shit, as we've learned over the years. Mateo says something about Roman's face on the way to the octagon. Let me to cash out my parlay. All right. Well, good call then. I don't remember what he was looking like. That's funny though. As Mateo says, Rob the legend killer who refused to fight his teammate and will never get a title shot as a punishment, Dvalishvili. I've gotten to love Rob for the effort on the entertainment. He gets the game. Yeah, I mean, he's kind of maybe been forced to learn, Alex. That's kind of been the big thing.
Bro, as much as we love this sport, it is entertainment as well. You know,
right.
like it is what it is. Like if you're fucking boring, you're gonna have to fucking win 37 million fights in a row to get a fucking title shot. You know, so
I mean, it's still insane that he's had to win 10. So yeah, like my God, you cannot go beyond that. But all right, before we move on here, Rio with interesting question saying, as you guys know, I'm a Dern hater. Yes, we do. Can we finally put to bed that she's a world-class fighter and uncoachable? Well, I think you mean to kind of say that is the case. She got her takedowns against Lemos and still couldn't get a finish. So I wanted to mention this because she actually hit a crazy good double leg in the first round. Timed it perfectly. Probably the best she's ever gonna have. I mean, that was amazing. Alex, that blew my mind. I was going crazy.
One good takedown out of fucking 777. Like
that was astonishing. But this was, he says, the not get a finish part. I noticed it as that was happening, as that sequence was unfolding when she was on Lemos. Like, since Dern has reached the higher level of the division, like, look at the Marina Rodriguez fight, is like when I'd say maybe it started. Once she started fighting all these elite top contenders, her danger level on the ground has kind of faded. Like, she's still obviously there, great at controlling and a threat, but her ability to finish has definitely faded. And I'm thinking that might be more of a talent level plus knowing what to expect thing. Like, the one-dimensionalness of her game has caught up with her substantially for her opponents, which is why we're not seeing her pull off these submissions against these types of opponents anymore. Like against Marina and Xiaonan and, even Lemos, she had all these opportunities to where, there could have been something, but people know now that that's kind of all they have to worry about. And when they're as good of fighters as those ones, you're not gonna be pulling off these submissions that you were getting before. So
yeah, I kind of felt that way. Like, all respect to Angela Hill, but like, if you can't tap Angela Hill,
yes,
you're not going to tap the top of this division. And I feel like I'm a fucking broken record after every single Mackenzie Dern fight, but
that's her fault, not ours.
Until she gets the fuck out of California. You got to get out. You got to get out. And go to stay in California and go to San Jose and
go down south.
But she has to go find a camp with wrestling, and she has to really focus that part of her game because she's got the submissions and she's got power in her hands, right? Like, it's just that wrestling aspect of it. And until she does that, she'll never fight for a title.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this essentially, outside of those surprises with the takedown, this essentially played out how we thought it would with, the short notice matchup was just going to be a tough one. And I mean, Lemos, in all honesty, with a different referee, probably gets to finish in round 2. Like, I mean, seriously.
I think that fight. I mean, dude, I am just bleed to the fucking max. I love when fighters gets the life beat out of them, but I think that second round that could have easily been stopped.
Yeah.
Just the way she held her face, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good sign. But I mean, and then she keeps going. So yeah, just kind of a reactionary moment, but
and
crazy.
it's getting to the point where we're not even talking about Mackenzie's skill anymore. We're talking about how tough she is,
which isn't good. Yeah, that's not good. Not good at all.
Yeah, ooh, she is a tough fighter.
Oh boy, yeah, definitely. Cade, what is up, man? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. How you doing, man? As Rio points out, her last finish was Nina Ansaroff. Yeah, that feels like forever ago. Rio just disagrees. No matter where she goes, she won't be good. He just hates her. Kate says, I think the thing with Dern is her stand-up game is not there to hang with the top of the division, which affects the ground game, in my opinion. She's so focused on holding someone down to not stand up. True, but also there is definitely that bridge there, which is the takedowns. But a good point. Yes. So all right, with that, we will move along though to this weekend. You guys, of course, get in questions for things if you want to talk about more from this past weekend. But let's go to the main line, Alex. We got just a full table, a full big Thanksgiving table of things to pick from. What are you most excited for this weekend, my man?
Yeah, so I will spread my
that's what I'm doing. I'm like not even on UFC.
Yeah, the one UFC fight I'm really looking forward to, and that I think is going to be utter chaos for as long as it lasts, is Manoel Torres versus Chris Duncan. The fight's going to be nuts. And it's going to be Manoel Torres is a legitimate madman. Especially if you know
real psycho.
if you know him behind the scenes, he's a fucking madman. And Duncan is as game as it comes, and yeah, it's just one of those fights that's just going to be fun, and it's going to be chaos. And then PFL versus Bellator. I mean, Clay Collar versus AJ. I mean, that fight's
that's one of mine. Yep.
I mean, yeah, it's. I mean, I don't. It's going to be good. I'm not going to sell it any more than that. Just watch it.
Just watch that fight. Yes.
And you know what fight's not going to be good? Thiago Santos for sure.
Oh man, let's not talk about that.
Yeah, so those are my two. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, of course. And I mean, I'm not surprised at all that you also got AJ and Collard in there. I'm very hyped for that one. That is one of mine. And then I got two from RIZIN Landmark 8, which is going down this weekend. And I want to highlight one I'm most excited for is Suryoshima coming in on short notice against Claire Lopez, which was originally supposed to be Ayaka Hamasaki. Claire Lopez, just no easy opponents for her. She is an absolute gamer, a dog, representing Combate Global a little bit still, but finding her way through the atomweight ranks, looking to rebound off her title loss to Sekizawa. No shame in that one, her last time out. From one tough opponent to another, Suryoshima kind of she's been hanging around the top 5 and then had some setbacks, and now short notice fight in RIZIN. We don't get these very often, Alex. The injuries and things like that they're pretty good at not having injuries, but now we're getting some shakeups. Still a pretty similar type of opponent for Claire. I'm looking to see how she deals with it and if it matters there, because Suryoshima very tiny for the division. Looking forward to that. And then Yusuke Yauchi's back. He's taking on Shirakawa. I mean, Yauchi's always must-see TV. Been kind of getting back into a flow a little bit. Shirakawa, he's a madman too. That's going to be a car crash. I can't wait for that one. Some solid sleepers on RIZIN Landmark 8, but there's just too much to pick from this week across the board. So let's get to our predictions specifically, Alex. So let's start with UFC and we'll go down the board to the other ones here. Try not to maybe take too much time because there is a lot to get into, but yeah, you're Rodriguez versus Brian Ortega 2, the co-main event of UFC Mexico City. First fight was a weird one. Not sure how much we can take from it, right? But what's the feel this time around? Who you taking?
The guy here, Rodriguez, beats Brian Ortega and does it pretty convincingly. It's it's pretty well known out there that Brian Ortega has not been in Mexico training. He's not gone. He's not been in elevation. And I think that's really going to affect the fight. I believe he's been in California most of the time, and I don't think he's even been to Big Bear. So I think that's going to be a big problem. And Yair's trained really hard for this fight. He's been in Mexico for, I think, over a month to, how do you say it, acclimatize? Is that
yeah.
how you say it?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
or acclimate, climatize, whatever. Yeah.
Whatever. So I think Ayers is going to beat him just on that aspect alone. He's got Brian cooked, but I just think Yair Rodriguez is the better fighter overall.
Yeah, been more active too. And I mean, in the first fight, I think he was getting the better of the exchanges slightly, and then, showed that he can hang on the ground enough. I know it wasn't very much, but I think just to see that sequence, he was setting up submissions and threatening, I think that's a good sign against Ortega. If it is to go there, which will probably be smart of him to just lean on what he's best at this point, especially with what you just said. He doesn't want this fight to go long. So, yeah, I also lean towards Yair, who, despite, I'm kind of just going to wipe away the Volkanovski fight for the most part, because that's not an anomaly, but it's the levels. You want to play levels. Volkanovski is the only guy that's going to be able to do that specific type of performance. Sure, Ilia could not starch him or something, but I don't think anybody's going to replicate what Volk did to Yair. And you take away what he did before, he looked like an absolute master, where people were thinking he could beat Volk. You might have been one of them, but I think, we get the regular Yair Rodriguez we've been seeing. Aside from the Volkanovski fight, he should have no trouble whatsoever with this very inactive and non-climatized Brian Ortega. So I'm going to say probably, I think I'm going to go round 2 TKO specifically. Alex, you got a specific method?
Round 3. Okay. Round 3 TKO.
Gas him out. Yep. Beat him up. All right, then the main event. The Brandon squared battle, back at it again. The rematch, Brandon Moreno, Brandon Royval. How do we feel about this one? I'm just going to say I don't think it's going to look too much different from the first one, which was, really fun while it lasted. Pretty quick fight. I don't know. Royval just hasn't shown me enough to say he can beat Moreno. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I know you're a raw dogger.
I'm a raw dogger. And I think it's going to be competitive. I think it's going to be a competitive fight. Only thing is, if Brandon Moreno watched Royval's last fight, take this guy down.
Yes,
take him down and hold him. And if Brandon Moreno decides to takes Royval down, it's going to look awfully like what we thought to UFC 296. If he does not do that, and it is a brawl like Moreno likes to get into, I think there's an opening for Royval to win. And even if he's not as dominant a wrestler like Pantoja, because Pantoja really didn't do much with the wrestling, he just kind of basically held him, right? Royval is really funky off his back, so there is ways for him to lock up something crazy. So I know I'm kind of leading you on to think that
yes, you are.
Royval is going to win this, which it's plausible. I think I am going to have to go against Raw Dog this time and pick Moreno.
The sadness in that.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I might switch my pick.
I mean, really, it doesn't matter too much for the division. I'm gonna say it. It doesn't really matter too much. Yeah. Kate says this is a great free card. Yes, it will be, definitely. I mean, I think you summed that up pretty perfectly. I do think, though, that I think, like I said, it will look pretty similar to the first fight, but maybe a bit more extended, because I think that Moreno will try to wrestle him a bit more. But with being in Mexico and kind of the energy, he's a guy who feeds off that and wants to entertain and have an amazing fight. So I could see this looking pretty much like a stretched out version of the first fight, with him throwing in some more wrestling. But he'll get the job done in the third round, I think. So I guess I'll say submission again, right? If I had to pick, I don't know. Royval's, I feel like I can't imagine him getting like deaded or anything like that, So
5 round. It's going to be a 5-round fight. And
yeah,
Brandon Moreno versus a UD or a split.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so then let's move on to PFL versus Bellator. Alex, we'll touch on the remaining 2 champ versus champ fights real quick. Prediction for the co-main event: Johnny Eblen, Impa Kasanganay. I mean, love Impa, great guy, but we're picking Johnny Eblen, right? He's the best middleweight on the planet.
Johnny Eblen smash.
Yeah. Yeah, he should have his way relatively. I would say. Well, I think we'll leave it at that. And then the main event, probably more of the same, right? Wrestler's gonna wrestle. Ryan Bader versus Renan Ferreira. If he doesn't, he could be in trouble. That's a big man, but Ryan Bader has fought goddamn everybody, and more often than not gets him down. And Renan Ferreira, not the greatest wrestler in any aspect. So this is just kind of somewhat of a layup, and it feels weird to say that despite where we're at, but is that, just go ahead, let it out. I see you want to say it.
Renan Ferreira's gonna knock Ryan Bader out.
Oh, okay, all right. You went in the opposite direction.
First round or second round, and knock
having flashbacks to the Rumble fight, is that what you're thinking?
No, actually, I talked with a couple coaches. About Renan Ferreira, and they say this dude is a fucking sponge, and his wrestling has really improved. And I've said it since the fight was announced: if Ryan Bader can't take this guy down,
right,
he's gonna get slept. And I think, I think people should people should put money on Renan Ferreira because he's gonna knock Ryan Bader out.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's one of those, it's one of those matchups. And I know we've talked about Mackenzie a little bit here, and I mentioned Marina Rodriguez, so I'm going back to this, but when she was having those fights with Mackenzie Dern and then Carla Esparza, it's like when you're in a matchup like that where it's very clearly striker versus grappler, if you're the striker, just fucking only train defensive wrestling, the whole time. I don't give a shit. You don't need to, just maybe, stay warm with your striking, but don't get crazy with other stuff. Do the thing you need to stop. So if he's doing that, then yeah, fantastic point. So, all right, then I'm sure you won't have too much to say about the RIZIN Landmark 8 main event, Alex, but
take it away, my friend. Take it away. It's all you.
Luis Gustavo versus Yoshinori Orie, who he is a UFC veteran, and he's been doing quite well since then. And he is at lightweight now, and he just beat I believe it was Spike Carlisle in his last fight. Let me pull this up, make sure I'm not mixing that up. Yeah, good unanimous decision win at RIZIN 44, of course. And now he's taking on the absolute madman, a killer is his literal nickname, the Vanderlei Silva protege, and Luis Gustavo, Alex, who this guy, he kind of fights very similarly to Vanderlei, just a lightweight version of him. Absolutely lives up to his nickname. On a good winning streak here. Win here very well should get him a title shot, and I guess you could say the same for Orie. But he's just never been much of a finisher. Very well-rounded guy. Looking maybe healthier at lightweight compared to featherweight, but that size advantage is going to be very clearly in favor of Gustavo, and the guy just has violence in every limb. So it's hard for me not to go with him in this fight. So I will say Gustavo is going to find the finish in the first or second round via TKO. He's violence, and this, I believe, should be in the cage, which I think will help him. So great main event, though. Not like the biggest one, of course, but very, very much title implications potentially for the winner there. So look forward to that one. But all right, let's move on over to Spotlightville now. Alex, talk about the prospects that we have our eyes on. Kick us off.
Yeah, Fury FC 86. In the featured bout, there is a Oklahoma State wrestler by the name of Jacoby Smith.
A little dry.
I was almost about to cough right there, and it fucked me up. So
The fun of live podcasting.
and I had it kind of fucked up my groove.
Yep, I hear you.
Anyway, Jacoby Smith, 7-0. He's looked dominant so far. He's that guy. He's fucking good. He's gonna be in the UFC very soon. Probably gonna headline the contender series this year. He's very good. He's training out of Fortis now. He's very dominant. He's a very good wrestler, but the thing he's improving is his stand up. So he's knocking people out now. And he knocked somebody out in his last fight. His 2 fights prior to that, they were kind of boring because he's still adapting to mixed martial arts, right? But once he gets it going, dude's gonna be very good. So he's gonna be like a Bo Nickel type prospect, where it's like, man, he's good. So Jacoby Smith is my prospect to watch, and keep an eye on that guy.
All right, good deal. We definitely will. Then as for the ladies' side, you guys, pretty clear, only one choice this week, and not because we're limited, but because Yasmin Yargway is fighting. She is back. Of course, had her first and only setback inside of her entire career so far when she lost to Denise Gomez in a pretty quick knockout there. But of course, if anybody's been following her career outside of that fight, and that's not the only one you've seen, she is damn good, damn entertaining, especially for her age. Has a favorable matchup here against Sam Hughes in Mexico. I'm glad they're putting her on the main card, continuing to kind of spotlight her. And with this rebound matchup here, she should be set up to showcase those skills pretty well. No knock on Sam Hughes necessarily, but Yasmin Yargway, what I want to say 24-ish right now, 23, 24, still super young, dangerous in there, great striker. There was somebody I compared her to when she was rising up, and I can't remember who specifically it was now, but she is quite good still, and I don't think we should put too much. I think that the knockout maybe says more about Gomez being a legitimate prospect too, and I mean, I guess we'll just have to wait and see, but Yasmin Yargway is always must-watch TV, so can't wait to see her fight this weekend. But all right, from there, Alex, we will move on to the segment that we don't get very often, especially anymore, but we'll make it quick with our turf war, as we do have three big major events going on this weekend. So with turf war, you guys, we are picking which event is the best one. Alex, which event do we like the best, or would we say on paper, who's got the best show this week? What will it be?
Man, it's
kind of tough.
It is tough, man. It is tough. And I think on paper PFL versus Bellator has the better card.
Yeah.
But then you think about, like, I think the atmosphere is, I think we're going to remember the Mexico City card more, because PFL versus Bellator is in Saudi Arabia. If you've seen boxing events there, you've seen fights, like, it's just not, it's doesn't,
not the same.
It's not the same. This is the first Mexico City card. And I think since 2019, I believe.
Probably.
Sounds right. Maybe not. Could be later, whatever. I think they brought out the guns. I mean, Yair Rodriguez, Brandon Moreno. Like, I think we're gonna remember it because of the atmosphere, because of the fights. So it's tough. Yeah, I'm kind of like fence riding, and I don't know if I have a definitive answer. So I will say, I guess I'll just kind of do it like this. I think on paper, Bellator versus PFL is better.
Okay.
I think we're gonna remember the Mexico City card next week, and we'll really remember anything else.
Okay. Fair enough, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you look at the UFC Mexico card top to bottom here, and they did a great job with, lining it up with fighters from, Mexico, or, just kind of who fit who would fit and make sense for this card, right? So a lot of prospects and all that outside of, the top 2 fights are the big hitters there in terms of the name value. So I honestly, on paper, in that regard, like, I think that these should all deliver for what they are, but on paper, I think if I'm gonna rank them here, I'm gonna go UFC Mexico City, RIZIN Landmark 8, PFL versus Bellator. Now, which will end up being the best? It's probably not gonna be, in that order. But yeah, I'm a sucker for champion versus champion aspects. Even though we've lost 2 really good ones and whatnot, still there's that theme. And I mean, honestly, like, I'm so excited for Collar versus McKee that gets a lot of bonus points. That's like the fight of the weekend as far as I'm concerned, probably. So yeah, if I was to rank them, that would probably be it. But I like the way you put it in terms of on paper versus maybe best outcome or what will be most memorable. I think that's pretty fair. As we'll give a shout here from Ghost saying the event I think is best is not MMA, it's the Ride Kickboxing 178. I'm quite looking forward to it, despite Chatter saying that Japan has bad kickboxing. Well, we ignore that last part, but yeah, shout out to Rise. They do put on good shows, and the kickboxing is always good fun to watch. But okay, you guys, well, that will wrap up Turf War. Just our little rankings. We don't get to do that one often, so it's fun to chime on, and especially with Bellator now being under PFL. We'll see how much confliction there will be, but keep getting your questions in. Feel free, as we will get to them at the end here, as Pokimane has arrived. That's great. Hi, how are you? Wow, look at that. We're blowing up now. Wow. But all right, let's go now to the Drelex Movie Club as we wrap up towards the end here, you guys. It is Oscar season. If you have forgot, coming up on a March 10th is when they're going down. So Alex is 2 away now. I still got 3 to go before we watch them all. He caught up on American Fiction this week, which I can't wait to hear what he thought about. He watched Past Lives, and I watched Killers of the Flower Moon. I wanted to get to Past Lives last night, but shameless plug, had to get Broaden Horizon episode 36 all polished. So stay tuned for that. Later today, we will be dropping that episode featuring Claire Lopez, who we talked about, and Reina Cabota is back on the show. So good 2 guests there. But all right, Alex, since we have 2 spoiler talks, since we've both seen American Fiction and Killers of the Flower Moon, we'll start off with the no spoiler movie for Past Lives, which I haven't seen yet, but you guys get ready for spoilers for those next 2 movies. But we will kick off with no spoilers for Past Lives. Alex, how was it? Tell me about it without spoiling.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a very good movie. It was a solid movie, solid romantic movie. I don't know if it deserved a Best Picture nomination. Basically, the premise is, I'll just keep it like this: 2 South Koreans are childhood friends, seemingly like childhood lovers. One of them has a crush on the other one. One of them moves to New York, so immigrants to America. One stays in Korea. They reunite through the internet. Like, one's looking for another one. They meet, so they start talking. Then they stop talking again. Some years pass. It's in 12-year increments.
Okay.
So first 12 is them as kids. The next 12 they meet. Then they take a break. One of them gets married. Then they meet again. Then they actually meet with each other again, and things happen. And you might think it goes one way because it's a romantic movie, but it might not go that way.
Okay.
So it was good. The acting's good. The director is good. I like the cinematography on it. There's a lot of still shots that really make you sit with the characters and kind of chew on it a little bit. But I just don't see why it was a best picture,
Right.
other than the Academy wanting to diversify itself.
Yeah.
So I'll give it a solid. It's a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 movie. Yeah.
Good for what it is, kind of deal.
Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, but and actors were it was really good. It was a solid movie. It's just
didn't blow you away in terms of nomination for best movie of the year.
Yeah, like,
okay.
I got some standards for best picture.
Yes.
If it doesn't meet those standards, I'm like, go get the MTV Movie Awards. You know?
yeah, right. Okay.
Golden Globes or some shit.
All right. Yes, I'm still looking forward to checking it out. As Alvin says, no spoilers, but I thought Past Lives was fantastic. The locations they filmed were not as robust, but very humble, and it's character driven. Mr. Riggs, when you watch it, you will get invested in the characters. All right.
Yeah, I do feel you're gonna like it more, especially because the Asian culture. I think you'll appreciate it much more, and you know, the hopeless romantic that you are.
Yes, yes, a hopeful romantic. Okay, would you say though, since Alvin brings that up, though, would you say the characters are the strength of the movie?
Oh, 1000%.
Okay.
Yeah, if you didn't like the characters, this movie would fall flat on its fucking face, and you turn it off 20 minutes.
All right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that is Past Lives, you guys. If you haven't seen it, get on it. But if you have seen it, let us know what you thought. But now, to speak of great characters, though, Alex, let's talk about American Fiction, my man. Did you enjoy this as much as I did? I fucking love this movie.
Yeah, I think you liked it more than I did, for sure. But I as a writer, I really enjoyed it. I did, and I thought that Sterling K. Brown, his brother, was Cliff. I thought he was better than Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah, 100%.
I thought Monk was he was good, man. He was really good, and I really liked the storyline. And I do believe it's like society holding a mirror to itself. Sure. And like as a writer, it's like, you know, I will take it straight to MMA. MMA writing for a big outlet. You know, you want to write these. I want to write a story about a prelim fighter, right? And tell their story. People aren't going to fucking read it. So you have to look for the big fighters or the big headlines to have people care about
Jake Paul.
You know, the fucking Jake Pauls, the Conor McGregor. Anything Conor McGregor tweets, you got to write about it. So it's in a sense it's in sense that. So
relatable.
You know, and this is what Monk's going through in the movie, and you know, no one wants to read about high class black literature. They want to read about gangs and everything like that, and that's what he's dealing with. And it's just so funny because of like just like the characters, like the judging panel, like the white characters are just like, oh my god, it's just so great.
Yeah.
That aspect is just so good. Yeah, the more I think about it, I really enjoyed it. But it didn't blow me away. Like I think I had such high expectations on it that I was like going in like, holy shit, like, this is gonna be a banger. But it's a solid movie. It's still like a 8.5 out of 10 for me. Okay. I think that the director Cord Jefferson is going to be someone to watch, and I'm really looking forward to what he does next, because you come out of the gate swinging with this movie, man, it's going to be something. But and you know, I just feel like the acting in it, you know, especially with Sterling K. Brown as his gay brother, he was just so just fucking drug addiction gay brother. And Jeffrey Wright, you know, man, when you really let him play in a sandbox like the movie, he really like he's just special. He's a special actor when you give him, like, you know, I've watched him before Westworld, but like that's really what like my image of Jeffrey Wright nowadays is him as a robot, and it just he's just I think this movie has shed that from me, and I won't think of him as a robot anymore. I'll think of him as Mark, right? So yeah, it's very good. There are a lot of really scenes in the movie that'll stick with you, and you'll like really chew on it after the movie ends. So yeah, 8.5 out of 10. What do you think about it?
Yeah, no, I love this one. Like I said, 9.5. I had one nitpick that I will mention here, which is what prevented it for me. But yes, since we're doing spoilers now, since we've both seen it, I wanted to mention though, Tracy Ellis Ross though as Lisa, as her sister, as his sister. I thought she was great. I loved the chemistry they have, like that. The car scene in the very beginning, I was like, these feel like just normal, actual brother and sister talking to each other, like perfect dialogue there. And I was so bummed, when she dies, but like they utilized that greatly and it made sense for everything. And the way that they handled her death afterwards was hilarious. Like that scene was so funny. But she was great. I wish that she was in the movie more, but I think Cliff kind of made up for that for the most part. Johnny Walker scene was fucking great. I really loved that. And the way that they kind of told or depicted a writer writing a story, I thought was super unique, and I'd never really seen it like played out that way in the same room. Kind of was really fun. I thought that was really yeah, and Keith David as the guy, that was great. Having him make a little appearance there, that was super enjoyable. I mean, right. Alex,
what's your fucking nitpick?
My nitpick is, and this is like, it's probably dumb of me, but I don't know. Did he not write the book in like a night? That's what happened. He wrote the book in that same night. And he like brings it up like the next day. I was like, that's not realistic at all. Like the timing of that, I was like, no, I couldn't get over it.
Okay, yeah, for sure. That's a good one.
Yeah, but other than that, I was like all good. I was like, doesn't happen. But I want to ask you about the ending though, Alex. Was that not fucking brilliant? I thought the ending was great.
Yeah, for 1,000%. Yeah, I really liked where they were like trying to go, get to what the ending,
yes,
the movie, like it's just very, yeah, it's I mean, does it really even tell you like what exactly he did, like what exactly he said at the podium? Like not really, right? Like it's kind of ambiguous.
Yeah. It doesn't. I mean, I think what I interpreted was that actually hadn't happened yet, because he said that I forget the name of the girl he was seeing. He said that she had not been picking up his calls. So I'm assuming that what the podium part would have been actually hadn't happened yet. So he was kind of thinking ahead of what he would do in that situation. Obviously not, hopefully not get killed. But yeah, it was that one part, that one line that made me think, okay, that part hasn't happened yet. So he was kind of figuring it out, which I like that too. But I thought that was just perfect. And Adam Brody's character was perfectly, what he was too. I just always like Adam. But yeah, I thought that was really fun. And it was hilarious though, because when they first start off with that, right, and it goes to him talking and cutting to black, it got me where I was like, oh, come on. And then they like talk about how it'll get people to do that. And I was like, they fucking totally got me. So it's just fun. It's just a fun movie. I really loved this one. But yeah, as someone who writes, I just couldn't buy the in a night thing.
Yeah.
So yes, but Alvin says American Fiction was amazing for me. My favorite scene was Monk and Cliff discussing the impact of their father's suicide. That was a great scene for sure. Suicide is never something to joke about. Entertaining, examining the impact was very powerful. Yeah, when I think that might have been their last scene actually, at the wedding. When Cliff was saying how he never got to tell their dad that he was gay, and even if he was upset about it, at least he would have known. I was like, damn, that really kind of hits you. But Yeah, I mean, the movie just has all of these kind of so much comedy with, you know, the dramatic elements were really perfectly blended, I thought. So not gonna win Best Picture, but I'm glad it's nominated for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It was something different, something um, in the zeitgeist of pop culture in a way. And I think just like I said, it shows a mirror. It's a mirror society with a mirror to itself. You know.
Yes. It's funny, Alex. I gotta ask you this real quick before we move on to Killers of the Flower Moon. But did you think that I forget the name of the other author too, but the one who had the book that he like is listening to at the beginning? Did you think that she was doing the same exact thing he was?
I thought so.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally thought so.
Yeah, kind of.
I was waiting for them to have that moment because, like, when she's agreeing with him and stuff, I'm like, "Oh, this is leading. This
Yeah,
is leading."
yep.
So, a lot to examine, but yeah, very fun movie. Definitely highly recommend that one, you guys, if you haven't seen it yet, which I hope you have because we are doing spoiler chat now. But either way, good one. So, all right, let's move on to Killers of the Flower Moon. Martin Scorsese. Can he miss? Does he miss? I don't know. Let's talk about it. I know Alex doesn't think he did, but I don't exactly either. But for me, this one, it's not his best movie by any stretch of the imagination. I think a very, I don't know if I want to say educational, but important, you know, kind of to look at this time period. And like this whole movie is the
Tragic.
depiction. Yeah, I mean, it's greed at the highest level, man. It's like disgusting, sickening to, you know, to kind of be hit with like that reality of fucking pisses you off a lot. You know, it's great at making you upset about how things were, all that kind of stuff. Um, for specifics, I mean, Robbie De Niro, he was phenomenal. I mean, it's one of those things, right? This movie fully shows you, and I know he's had some since, but Robert De Niro, like the last 10 years or so, right? He's done some fucking dumb shit, you
He's
know?
throwing it in for a paycheck, brother.
Yeah, yeah. But when he wants to, he's still just A plus tier incredible, right? Like I would not at all be mad if he won Best Supporting Actor for this movie if he is nominated, which I'm not sure. I don't have the list up
Yeah.
right now. But yeah, he was phenomenal. I think he was probably the best in terms of acting. Lily Gladstone, of course, was great too. It's it's kind of funny seeing Leo as like this goobery dude in this time period. Like at first kind of confused about him, but then slowly there's just like nothing I like about him. You know, like he just I was waiting. I was kind of waiting for this moment of him to, and you know, it happens where he kind of turns his back on things, but more impactfully. So I was a little bit let down by that, but I don't know. It kind of makes sense all at the same with how his character was built up and everything. I think that the relationship between Ernest, Leo's character, and Lily kind of developed super quickly, but it did make sense for the story and all that. But I'm kind of, I always pay attention to those things, and they didn't fit too much for me, but that was kind of, again, part of the story, which makes sense and is tragic and fucking all that shit and makes you mad. I love throwing these out here, Alex, as you know, but the clerk from No Country for Old Men was in this, if you remember him, which that iconic scene to pick, was it heads or tails? He was in this, and he was great for his brief periods. It's kind of, I think, the bank guy. And man, John Lithgow and Brendan Fraser out of nowhere. That was a surprise as the lawyers. That was a pleasant surprise. Yeah, and I mean, it kind of dragged at the end for me. Of course, it's a long 3.5 hour movie. We've discussed long movies the past couple weeks, and somewhat anticlimactic, but it was good, fine for what it is. It felt, I really like the soundtrack. To be specific, there, a lot of it worked and all, but I don't know. There were some elements and things that it could have pushed it over or tweaks. I think it definitely could have had some time shaved off, but still solid. I mean, a very clean 7 for me. I don't think any higher or lower. I think a movie that people 100%, it's one of those that you should see just because of what it's about.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting one. Like, give me your reflection on it a little bit.
Yeah, it was just it's Scorsese being Scorsese, and it's insane to me that no studio would give Martin Scorsese a budget to make this movie.
Right.
Till Apple stepped in and said, "Here you go." Like Scorsese's top 5 director of all time,
Yeah,
and
he's insane.
it's a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro.
What do you need?
And a story. Obviously, it's a 3.5 hour movie, right? And it's not a superhero movie, so a lot of the larger film audience is not going to go see this movie. But I think I think Scorsese alone sells it, right?
Right.
But going past that, it's just it's a story that needed to be told.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it does well. Like, obviously, it would have been really good as a documentary, right?
Yeah.
But I think as a feature film, it did its job. And the thing I took away, like, you go away from this movie feeling nasty, like you watch just some fucking evil shit. And that's what I take away. It's a fucking tragic movie. It's a very, like, not a good movie in a sense where, like, you feel good watching it, right?
No.
It's like you feel filthy. You're fucking filthy watching it. And yeah, it just, the acting in it was phenomenal. Everybody did his thing. I felt the runtime, for the most part, I felt like it moved, which is a good thing, because if this movie dragged, it would have been a very hard movie to get through. And I do, like, I could say, like, the ending, for sure, you felt the runtime a little bit, but I still felt like it did its job. But yeah, I think it's it's a good Scorsese movie, and for him to make this movie at his age is just a testament to how fucking good this guy is.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely something that I was thinking through. I was just like, how is he just, he got this down. He's got this so down. It's like, it's crazy, his catalog and what he's capable of doing on the screen. Alvin says Lily Gladstone's performance was one that stood out for me. She brought the story to life. Absolutely did. She was, yeah, I mean, probably my favorite part of the movie in terms of, once, if you were to like something, like you're saying, it makes you feel nasty at all. But yeah, she was always great when she was on screen and kept you were always kind of very invested in what was going on with her. So, very well said, Alvin. Mateo says the movie did a great job showing greed and insidious actions of De Niro's character and those around him. 1,000,000%. Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about the long con. Fucking, it's absolutely maddening. It really is. It is wild.
Fucking,
and yeah,
greed. It's just, yeah, you just feel like I said, you feel filthy watching this fucking movie, because this is not fiction.
Yeah, right.
It fucking happened.
Yeah, it's it is something. But yeah, no, again, definitely good stuff. Regardless, worth watching for several reasons. Yeah, I mean, I think we summed it up.
Would you give the grade for it?
I think it's a good solid 7. I might even say 7.5, but yeah, I think you could have shaved off maybe 30 minutes of it, but I think, like you said, it didn't hit me till, like, yeah, the very end there. And once like the government comes in with the bureau, like that's third act for sure, and keeps you kind of going from there. That was important to have, which makes sense for everything. But yeah, kind of a little bit after that, just you could have saved a couple minutes. But it's good. It is good. Worthy, I think, of being mentioned in this pantheon, if you will. But all right, you guys, that will wrap up our movies from this past week. We have just a couple left to go. We each have Poor Things, I have Past Lives, and then Zone of Interest. Alex has Past Lives and Anatomy of a Fall. That is all that's left on the docket, right?
So I have Anatomy of a Fall and Poor Things. Poor Things comes out on digital next week.
Okay, perfect.
The 27th. So I will watch Anatomy of a Fall this week, and then next week I'll wrap up with Poor Things.
All right. Then this week, let's see. I guess I'll obviously wait on Poor Things. We'll do that one. I will watch Past Lives for sure, and then might have to make it to a theater for Zone of Interest. Fuck it, dude.
Man, hold on. Let me
You gotta take a look for me.
Zone of Interest.
I mean, you would think they would get them all out before the actual ceremony.
Let's see.
Nope, not looking.
Oh, you can buy it. You can buy it on Amazon.
Oh, it must have just dropped then.
$20, brother.
Oh boy. Maybe we can find some pirate ships.
I have to go to some streaming service.
Yes. Wink, wink. But okay, on that note, you guys, we'll wrap up with the questions. I know you got in plenty here, so we'll do our best to breeze on through a good big show today because, of course, all the stuff going on with the events and whatnot. But James, kicking us off here with the Q&A at the end, says, what do you think of Topuria's insufferable fan base? So I haven't noticed this. I haven't noticed this, Alex.
I don't. I mean, is it any insufferable from any other fucking fan base? Like,
yeah.
I haven't noticed it at all.
All right. Yeah, I haven't either. Then he also asked Brian Ortega next for Ilia. So, of course, assuming if he beats Yair, I think definitely shouldn't be Alex, but Ortega obviously has this weird ability to win one fight and get title shots. So how likely do you think that would be, I guess, is the question.
It depends on how he beats Ilia.
Yeah.
If he was out there and just taps him in the first round.
Yair, you mean? Excuse us.
Yeah, wait. Yeah. If Ortega goes out there and taps Yair first round, first 3 minutes, I mean Ortega has a big Mexican fan base as well, right? So and he's a fan favorite, UFC fan favorite. Maybe, but I still feel like I would put Movsar above Brian Ortega.
Yes.
In my ranking, even and Max and Alex, like I still think there's people ahead of them, but you know.
Yes, for sure. Go says, why do people like to engage in GOAT talk? MMA is about skills, performances, and matchups. I feel like
because it's a talking point, fucking Ghost.
I feel like we talked about this recently.
It's a talking point.
I mean, those things lead to GOAT talk. So yes, it's foundational, Ghost. Jimmy asks, has Josh Quinlan had the weirdest career? Hello, by the way, finally caught the show. Thank you, Jimmy. Great to see you, my man.
You know, it's weird. I watched Josh way before he got to the sign of the UFC, and the thing about him, bro, is he has phenomenal grappling.
Mm-hmm.
Very good on the ground, but he wants to knock people out.
Yeah.
And it is mind-boggling that he does not go to his grappling when he has a clear advantage. Clear advantage when I tell you this, especially against Trey Waters and Danny Barlow, where the two lot that he lost. It's just
frustrating.
It is like, you know, he fought Trey Waters on, I think it was like less than a week's notice, and just got the range got to him, and then you fight Danny Barlow, who's a technical knockout artist. I guess that would be a thing you call him. Yeah. And you want to stand there and strike with him. What are you? So I don't know. Hopefully he turns to his grappling before he gets released from the UFC.
Yeah, one more shot. Come on. Turn around. Swallow the pride a bit, Josh. And Rain says, the Stamp Fair techs are patiently waiting for a break from the Apex. Don't you guys feel that Apex cards feel like LFA cards? They're pretty close, in my opinion. I mean, when you stack them up with the Contender Series winners on the roster, I'm not going to argue it for the most part. More than they aren't, I would say. Jimmy asked, what do you guys think of that journal saying that his estimates of payouts was close to the real ones, isn't posting estimates of payouts, essentially lying? So I think I know what you're referring to for 298 because there was that leak before. I forget. Sorry to the guy that you were specifically mentioning, but no, it's not lying because I mean that's what is given out by the commission. It's not estimated either. There's estimated and disclosed are two different things, right? You know, they let out what they're told by the UFC or whatever in that regard. An estimation is kind of guessing, like you're saying, but that's specifically what they're being told, disclosed to them. Doesn't mean it's 100% true, as we've learned from the antitrust lawsuit. As for some reason, UFC says that they make less money. I don't know what kind of the thought there is, but no, it's all about pretty much grammar in this regard, Jimmy. So yes, and he says he's not referring to the journal. Okay, he's not referring to. Well, I should have read disclosed payouts, but the guy that posts his estimated payouts before the disclosed. Well, yeah, that's bullshit. Then don't. I mean, yeah,
if they don't come from the commission, it's all bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. So should have read that first.
Interaction farming.
Oh man, I hate that shit so much. James says the blueprint to beating Amanda Lemos is free on Ghost page. It has details on the fakes and feints that makes Lemos react and swing wide. Why don't fighters often, other than Whaley at 115, use that? But I mean, if you don't know about it, maybe, or you're not going to trust. No offense to Ghost, no offense at all to Ghost, but like I'm sure fighters, you know how they are. Their egos and whatnot aren't going to maybe trust somebody online who they don't have in front of them. I mean, that's why they pay the coaches and whatnot. And not to say they couldn't pay Ghost, but
maybe Amanda Lemos' next opponent is going to watch this podcast and go to Ghost page, and
you're helping her out. Yes. Synchro says, what is your opinion on the annoying blue ticks on X rage baiting after Topuria KOing Volkanovski, like saying if he didn't lose, he would have won? Yeah, that happens all the time though, doesn't it? I mean, I don't even know if it's fair to say in this case.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I often bring up the argument like he was doing good until he got slapped.
I mean, I pretty much did that. I'm thing is though, I wasn't saying he was gonna win because that's fucking dumb. You know, you don't know that. But yeah, he was doing well for sure. I think that's undeniable. Caleb B says, after hearing Dana White talk about Conor McGregor, when do you think Chandler will come back and fight? Is he just going to sit out until he's 38 next year? I hope not, Alex. I am so goddamn upset that we have missed out on a year and plus of Michael Chandler's career because of this shit. Like, it's not, as a fan, of course, not worth it. You know, why he's doing it is, you know, presumably, hopefully going to be worth it. I hope it is because of the time it's taken, but as a fan, it's so upsetting. I hate it.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, man. Especially
and after last night, I think he's gonna hold out.
Yeah, especially like his UFC career thus far, right? It's like a knockout of the year, fight of the year, debut of the year. Like he's been nothing but must watch, literally must watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I get, obviously, we all get why he's, you know, the biggest payday of his career, but like, what's it worth?
Yeah, exactly.
I guess it's worth $multi-million, but
right. Because beating Conor at this point doesn't really mean much.
That's true.
Yeah. So, Ghost asks, what is it about big UFC pay-per-views that bring out the worst content creators? It really is a time to look for attention. Yeah, no, there's been a lot of bad shit out there lately. It's
People are watching it.
It's smart. That's the thing, though, is unfortunately it's smart because you attach these shitty takes or whatever clickbait it might be to the big events. Just people searching for the event that will find a way into their feed in the algorithms, and it's very annoying, but that's how it is, right? What do we got here? Rain says on Instagram, I commented on a pic of Tisha Torres holding Rocky Peace belt, saying that it was the closest you will ever get to. Okay, that's mean. Yeah, got blocked. That was justified. Yeah, that was definitely fair. Don't do that, Rain. That's fucking terribly rude. Yes, I mean, it was justified.
Yeah,
even if it's true.
Yeah, what about that comment did you think that you weren't going to get blocked for? I mean,
right. Yeah, you thought she'd like that?
Oh, come on. Yeah, I agree with you.
You're right.
Thumbs up.
Come on, man. Yeah, think before you post. Oh man, that's. I love that you asked that though, because that is hilarious of you to ask. It's common sense, man. Perfect way to wrap up the show. All right, you guys. There is so much going on in this February here at MMAmania.com. So many projects and things alike. Alex and I each doing plenty of interviews, so shameless plugs. Get them out of the way, my friend. I know you've been dropping them like they're hot. It's just this week, just yesterday, right? What do we got?
Yeah, so I got an interview with Jorge Masvidal, head of Bare Knuckle Gamebred Bare Knuckle MMA 4. Goes down next weekend. Some fun stuff in there. I also talked with Johnny Eblin. That's out now. I'm going to do a new series, long-awaited. It's called My Worst Camp, and the first article is Johnny Eblin. So take a look out for that. That should be out this week. Mexico Tidbits will be out this week, and if I'm feeling generous, I might do something about the PFL versus Bellator. Yeah,
what about RIZIN? Leave RIZIN.
That to me. Take it away, brother.
Fair enough. But yes, you guys, plenty of stuff going on. Some good ones from Alex for sure. As for those PFL and Bellator event fighters, of course, we have interviews with Ryan Bader as well, the heavyweight Bellator champ, Patricio Pitbull. I caught up with him before the change, of course, but we got those on the site. Also spoke to Rampage Jackson last week. Was a bunch of fun. Of course, he's always Rampage. That's the best way to put it. Good times though. Good chatting. Just yesterday released that big story I was telling you guys about. Third installment of the Defining Moment. This time we looked at the Bellator strawweight title tournament, the inaugural tournament, the controversial tournament that ended with Zoila Frausto's split decision win over Megumi Fuji, the first loss of Megumi's year of her career. A lot of good stuff in there. Got some good voices. Check that one out, please. Those are the ones I kind of care about the most, so give it some love. It's a good read, I think. I know Alex, he'll peek on when he's got some slow time, when he needs a nap, he'll give it a look. As it is a longer one. But other than that, Broad Horizon episode 36, as I mentioned earlier, coming out today in probably about an hour or so stay tuned for that. Claire Lopez and Reina Cabota joined me on that one, so good times there. And then, of course, stay tuned for us next week at the same time, same day, as we're getting closer to March now, and we'll recap all this fun stuff next week. You guys can follow us, MMAmania.com, on all the social platforms. Hit like, share, subscribe, do all that. Notification bell so you don't miss a gosh darn thing when we go live and whatnot. At DrakeRiggs _ and at Alex Behunin on Twitter and Instagram.
Silva's in the UFC Hall of Fame. Woo!
The axe murderer has arrived. Until next week, you guys, stay safe and stay sane. Enjoy the crazy weekend of action.